Hello there internet, I am Rue and welcome to this new segment on my channel I'd like to call Rue's Comic Book Corner. You may already know that I love video games, but you may not know that I'm also a big comic book fan.
Yeah, who isn't nowadays?
Boomer, get lost, you are not part of this. Well, what is the goal of this series? I just want to talk about comics with the main focus on the most recent releases and storylines. See this as a guide to what to pick up or to check out yourself. First, this won't be a dramatic retelling of the books or something, since I just suck at voice acting. So just sit back, grab your favorite drink and snack, and enjoy the ride. And just to be clear, I will talk about past issues and storylines, but I will try to keep it spoiler free when I'm talking about the most current issues. So let's start with DC, since those are the comics I'm most versed in. But don't you worry, we will talk about Marvel a bit too. Right now you should be seeing the most recent DC releases on your screen. There are some hardcover and trade paperback releases, like Absolute Kingdom Come and The Red Hood and the Outlaws New 52 Volume 1, but I won't go into detail about them. There is also a new series which started last Wednesday, Cursed Comics Cavalcade. I hope I pronounced that right. This is a nice collection of one-shot stories with a more spooky premise. You know, just the right thing for the Halloween season. If you want a little taste, there is a story about Batman hunting a horror movie obsessed serial killer and a story about Superman fighting an invader from the Phantom Zone. Why don't we stick to the Halloween theme for now, with something I didn't even knew existed. Did you know that there is a comic of Scooby-Doo during the apocalypse? I know, it sounds stupid at first, but it's weirdly endearing. The whole thing is set in a parallel universe where nanites turned humanity into monsters and the gang is now trying to save what's left of the world. I do believe that this series is coming to an end soon, so if it sounds interesting to you, now is the time to catch up with it. DC also released a new series set in the Sandman universe. Since I don't know a lot about the Sandman universe yet, I can't really tell you much about it. It's a lot like a supernatural spirit type of story revolving around the voodoo goddess. But since it's just the second issue, there isn't much more to tell you. Also, the Wildstorm Michael Cray miniseries came to an end this week, so right now it is the time to read up on that if you are interested. Well, that should be enough of the unusual stuff, so let's move on to the meat and potatoes. A lot of stuff happened recently in the world of DC. For those of you who don't know, the Dark Knight Metal event messed up the universal landscape a little bit. For example, the known boundary of the universe, the so-called source wall, broke and released all sorts of nasty things into the universe. But weirdly enough, DC didn't do much with this storyline this week around. Except for the Flash issue 56. We do learn a little bit more of the so-called Sage Force, while the Flash is trapped in the mind of the villain Heatwave. The book has some nice art if you ask me, but I think only Flash fans will be interested into that one. But there wasn't only bad stuff coming to the DC universe of the Dark Knight's Metal. Hawkman is back, for example, and he got a new run. Right now the story follows Carter Hall as he's trying to figure out where he comes from and why he keeps reincarnating. So far it's a pretty good story if you ask me. We get to see Hawkman meeting up with his past and future reincarnations, and right now he is in the Microverse fighting a sentient planet. That looks pretty promising if you ask me. But it does seem to me that DC is winding down a bit from its past big events. After the little crossover between Aquaman and the Suicide Squad, for example, in the Sync Atlantis storyline, we do have a little story about Captain Boomerang in Suicide Squad 47. Captain Boomerang is hired by the Australian government to stop an arms dealer from nuking Australia. It's just a silly little funny story, so if you're interested into that kind of stuff, I can only recommend you to pick this book up. A lot of issues this week deal with emotional stuff. The Titans, for example. The Titans just learned that the leader Dick Grayson, also known as Nightwing, was shot in the head and almost died. In case you didn't know, this took place back in Batman issue 55, and it is a big plot point for the coming Batman issues and coming Nightwing publications, since Dick Grayson decided to stop being Nightwing. But back to the Titans. This issue centers around the members of the Titans, their emotional world, and their dealing with where they are standing in the group. Speaking of emotions, Catwoman issue 4 is also a little bit more, let's say, calmer. I know a lot of people are still mad at DC for the Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle wedding story arc, but I think it gave this new series a good starting point. Sadly, nothing much happens in the recent issue. We do learn that Selina's sister Maggie is in a mental hospital and she's in a catatonic state. The book mainly tells us via flashbacks how the sisters grew up and how Maggie ended up in said catatonic state. I enjoyed it, to be honest, but I'm sure a lot of people would disagree with me.
Yeah, I do.
Didn't I tell you to get lost? I have a feeling I'm not getting rid of this guy. And that's just a great segue, since I'm also pretty sure we won't get rid of Jason Todd anytime soon. He just came back as the Red Hood in Red Hood Outlaw, and the recent issue also gets quite emotional. Issue 27 shortly reunites Bruce Wayne and Jason Todd, as Bruce brings Jason the news of the death of his friend Roy Harper, who died in the Heroes in Crisis event. The interaction between Bruce and Jason is fantastic, and whoever decided to put this image in definitely deserves a pat on the back. But enough with the touchy-feely stuff. We do get some action this week. Supergirl and Superman are still dealing with the aftermath of Rogol Zaar's attack. While Superman has to free Earth from the Phantom Zone, Supergirl is looking for answers to the question who the mysterious Rogol Zaar actually is. And she's looking for those answers on the Green Lantern planet Mogu. Telling you more about this would definitely spoil you, so let's just say that it doesn't look too good for both of them. We get even more action in Detective Comics 99, where Batman faces off with the villain Two-Face. To be honest, the story moves a little bit slow in this one, but it does have some nice action scenes and pretty damn good art to make up for it. And last but not least, we got Wonder Woman issue 56. This continues the Justice League Dark storyline of Wonder Woman and her team trying to save all of Magic from a new threat, the original owners of Magic. So far we know that the goddess of magic Hecate is responsible for all that, and she's built up as the big bad for this storyline. Also, Wonder Woman turns out to be one of the so-called witch-marked people Hecate stored vast magic powers in. I wish I could tell you more, but since the story moves at a snail's pace, there isn't much to talk about. Guess we just have to wait for the next part. Great, so that's DC dealt with, but what about Marvel? I won't go through all its publications this week, but you should still see them on your screen right now. See anything that tickles your interest? Go ahead and check it out. There is one issue though I want to talk about because I really enjoyed it. Namely, the Immortal Hulk number 7. For those of you who didn't follow the story of the not so jolly Green Giant, here is a little reminder. Bruce Banner and the Hulk actually died for good back during the events of Civil War II. But I wouldn't be talking about this if they didn't make a comeback. What I really like about this Immortal Hulk series is that it kinda returns to the character's roots. Bruce Banner doesn't Hulk out when he's angry, instead the Hulk takes over every night. But there is a catch. Bruce Banner has to die before the Hulk can come out. The new issue is a crazy one since it pits the Hulk against the Avengers. And if that doesn't sound crazy enough for you, here is the Hulk utterly destroying Tony Stark's Hulkbuster suit. There are a few more interesting Marvel publications this week, like Captain America issue 4 and The Amazing Spider-Man issue 7. But as I said earlier, I'm not that versed in the Marvel universe, so let's just stick with mentioning those. And before we end this little video, I also got an indie tip for you. Ever wondered what would happen if Albert Einstein was a time traveler? You don't need to wonder about it anymore, since Action Lab Entertainment's Albert Einstein Time Mason answers exactly that question. Do I really need to say more? It's Albert Einstein working for a secret time agency solving problems with the timeline. How can that not be awesome? That's all I got for this week, but we will return to the world of comics next Friday. Why don't you tell me what you think of this video in the comments down below? Until then, bye bye!